What's going on, guys? Welcome to part 2 of episode 1 of the Just Work podcast. We left off last part on Rich's question about active recovery. That's where we're picking up off today. Thank you for tuning in with this, guys. Have a good one.
Are you doing like active recovery? Are you eat? What's your diet
now
like?
Since this whole quarantine thing, I got time, so it's been 10-minute walk. It's like a 20-minute walk. We'll go
20-minute
park
okay.
Start walking. But the active blood flow right there really does help get everything going and stuff. You just sit down all day. No blood's really flowing through the body. It's just chill. We're going to watch Netflix and we're going to sit down.
Plus, I feel like no one wants to do that. I mean, as fun as it is, it's just boring. You get sick of it after a while.
You're stuck in a show, but the show's over. It's boring again.
Well, we're 40 days into quarantine. I feel like that phase of the thing is kind of like
I feel like that's over.
It's getting old.
I already watched Ozark on Netflix. I already watched everything. Tiger King's done. I don't know what to watch no more.
But like going back to the thing though, so you're doing you're focusing on like that blood flow and stuff like that. So what's your nutrition like in those days?
So for me, I already know I'm not getting enough calories in. End of story. I'm big. I don't want to eat that much anyways.
Right, because we're sedentary.
If I do, I'll just overindulge and go way further, and then I'll be 260 in 2 weeks, and it'll be rough. And I'll be like, I don't know what happened to me. I got fatter cheeks, and I don't really get it.
My bench got bigger,
but I don't know about my deadlift. It kind of went down. But what I'll do is my training days will be more carb variant days, and my recovery days will be more protein variant days. So I'll just cut more carbs on the recovery day, because I'm not going to really need it, especially since I'm not going to work. Unemployedness over here, just like the rest of the 30 million people. That's me. That's me. I made it to the list. But I know I won't be exerting that much effort besides going for a walk or grocery shopping or something of that nature, which isn't going to expend that many calories. So I just take down the carbs a big notch, like at least half. And I won't play with the carbs anymore on the recovery day, and I'll get more protein in, because I'd rather have more protein going after my workouts than before, because protein's going to help recover.
Right.
Even though there should be some before.
Of course.
It's not the best nutrition plan, but it's been working so far. Because normally I just loaded carbs every day, and it just wasn't. It just wasn't flowing very good with me. And I've done a bunch of different diets and shit.
And it's funny that you mentioned that though, because I feel like one, I really love what you're doing with the whole carb cycling thing. I think that's a really effective way and efficient way to kind of plan out and distribute, disperse your carbs, I guess, throughout the week, which I think is really efficient. And I think that goes to show though, like each individual is very unique in their approach to like nutrition and diet. Because like for you, I remember you talked about it earlier too before this podcast, was like carbs make you like alert and awake, and it gives you super energy, right?
If I get carbs, man, I get going.
Right.
Like if I were to eat a bunch of bread before working out, I probably wouldn't need pre-workout. I'd be okay for the whole thing.
See, that's crazy, because I know some people, like some of my clients, right? They talk about how they don't like having carbs in the morning at all, because like what that does, it makes them like lethargic. It gets them like super cloudy. I'm sitting here like, bro, carbs are life. Like,
man, I don't know what you're talking about.
What you talking about? But I mean, again, that goes to like different, different people, different boats, different folks.
Yeah,
And I feel like that's
different boats for different folks, man. I like that one. That's good. I never heard that one before. That's solid.
That's solid, man. But I feel like though it's kind of trying out and experimenting and figuring out what works for you.
You definitely have to jump around.
You gotta figure out. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you can even be the people that fat responds very good to your body. Like some people for bodybuilding, like will eat some like KFC right before the next day, and they just get big.
Yeah.
Some people respond better to different nutrients.
Yeah. And certain like
some people eat some fat and they just get fat. End of story. That's rough. That's rough.
It's rough. Or they eat carbs and they bloat up. They balloon up like no other.
Water
and then some
starts
people,
flowing everywhere.
Or like for me, one thing I've noticed too, or I don't know if this affects everyone too, but like if I drink like beer or alcohol or like hard liquor or no beer, if I drink like a light beer the night before, not too many, not in excess of like 2 or 3. And if I don't eat anything the night before on top of that, I will wake up super, super shredded and like vascular as hell. Like it is ridiculous.
Ronnie Coleman's his second show, and they're all like, "This guy looked like shit." Gave him some vodka, and this fool was ripped.
Yeah, dude,
crazy.
But then for some people, I know.
Well, what was it? Dexter Jackson like looked over and he was like, "I did not just let Ronnie win. I played myself."
But then for some people though, 1 can of beer Now, granted, obviously each beer is different, but like one can of beer that might balloon them up, and they're gonna be I feel bloated. And, you know, their stomach, their waist size, everything's just gonna shoot up like 2 or 3 inches. You know.
Yep.
So
it all depends on how you respond to that sort of level of nutrition. That's why,
and I guess going back to nutrition, I guess this is like last thing on this topic is like when people ask, is keto, is this it for me, or if this is what works
There's
for me?
A whole
like
bunch
Atkins.
of different diets. It depends on you, your age, what you're trying to accomplish, what's your goal. They're so hard to pick your damn diet.
And I think at the end of the day, though, what's important about that sticking to the diet, and this affects your recovery too, because I mean, what you put in your body, you know, that plays a role in your recovery.
Affects.
But the thing is, I feel like it's what you can actually adhere to and what you can actually stick with. Because if you can stick with keto for the rest of your life, then hey, more power to you. That's your diet right there. Or if you're vegetarian, you know. But if you're like, oh, I just want to lose like 20 pounds in like 3 months, and I'm hop on keto, lose the 20 pounds, go through all the keto flu, all that crap, and then like
just
next
hop
thing you know,
back on a regular diet. You're gonna jump back.
You're gonna jump right back up, and it's like
your body doesn't like to change.
Exactly, but you didn't develop the proper eating habits of good, because you're just like, oh, I'm just gonna avoid all carbs, and necessarily for most people, I don't think carbs is necessarily bad. You know
More
what I mean?
Carb management than carb extinction shit.
Yeah, exactly. No carb
just
annihilation.
Take it all.
Yeah, you know, just more
Get
carb
it out of
management.
here.
Yeah, exactly.
Carbs is energy.
Carbs is fucking life, bro. That's what it is.
Yeah, carbs is energy. So taking that away completely, it's pretty difficult to actually get good workouts in or anything of that nature. By the time everyone has a job, we all used to have a job. Some of us.
You're gonna start a riot, though.
Yeah, shit. But you could get through that, and then by the end of it, you'd be so tired because you already expended everything your body had to give at your work.
Right.
Unless you sit at a desk, but I hear that's tiring too. I don't know.
I think mentally it could be fatiguing.
I think mentally it would be like...
Physically, though, I mean, you're not really doing much.
I couldn't do
mentally,
it. No way. There's no way I could do it.
I do it, and I hate it. Yeah.
So getting back on track at going back to fatigue, muscle fatigue. Let's talk. Like, there's 2 different types of fatigue technically.
Okay.
There's CNS fatigue. CNS is just a fancy ass term to say central nervous system. Don't think anyone's cool. I'm not trying to be the scientist. It's just a fancy term. But just your central nervous system is a big part of strength. That's what gets you firing to go to big lifts. And when you're properly peaked for meets, your central nervous system should be primed for the meet. So, in other words, muscle fatigue is as if you were a bodybuilder. Your muscles are always getting fatigued, and over time they're going to start wearing down. And CNS fatigue is, if you don't play the game like the stock market, it's going to go down really hard. And it's happened to a lot of people. If you're not, either you program yourself or you plateau hard, that's a lot to do with CNS. Your nervous system it needs a rest and recovery break. So we're going to talk about muscle fatigue first. Best way to manage that is, for me, it's every 5th week, 6th week is going to be somewhat of a down week. I play with tonnage. Okay. So say I'm just throwing a number, say last week was 18,000 pounds of tonnage for the week, and that's how much I lifted. Then I'd cut that in half, and the next week I'd do 9,000 pounds for the whole week, and that's all I have to expend. So whether I want to do heavyweight low reps or I want to do low weight high reps, however I want to do that, I'm cutting the work amount in half.
Yeah, that's right.
My capacity would just went in half. And that's going to give your muscles a break, because they're not going to have to work as much as they did the 4 or 5 weeks prior, because that's what they're used to. And then you're unadapting your body a little bit to recover and get used to staying low again, and that way you can move back up. It's kind of like you take 2 steps forward and take 1 step back, that kind of deal thing.
Forwards. Yeah, no, definitely.
That really does help keep you going longer if you're going to peak. Same thing with periodization programs. The deload week is essentially the same thing, but it should target your CNS fatigue as well, in which you could do a non-muscle fatigue deload week and then just lower the CNS, which would be, all the percentages would probably be going down.
Like 50, 60.
Like 50, 60%. That really, you could move a barbell at 50, 60% pretty efficiently and not really be taxing the CNS.
Right.
Now, 85% for triples, that's taxing CNS.
That can be, yeah.
Your nervous system has to be adapted right then to do that.
Right.
So there's different ways to go about it. So I like to split mine up. I'd rather do a tonnage week drop for a week and then do 1 week and 3 weeks after that where I can bring all the weights down. And that way I could play both of them differently because I know my muscle fatigue can go a lot longer than my CNS fatigue. My CNS fatigue will crash before my muscles fatigue does.
Right.
So you have to play that game correctly, and that goes different for everybody.
Every folks, yeah, definitely.
That's basically how to manage it is kind of figure out if you have a coach, they should be managing this for you. They should gather enough clues and thoughts and tips about you and how you train and notice stuff within your training to figure out if your CNS getting taxed really hard during this week or is your muscle fatigue getting taxed, and there should be a deload. Most programs come with some sort of deload week. That way the body doesn't get overloaded.
Right, and that goes to the point where if you have a coach, every single exercise, every single rep, every single set has its purpose.
There's a reason to be doing something.
There's a reason to do that. And I don't know if you've been on IG lately too. I guess I'm gonna go off like a little bit, but like it talks about like how like coaching and stuff like that. Always ask your coach why. That's really important, and they should be able to answer that. You know what I mean? Like, why are you doing this? Why are we doing this in this block period? Or like, you know what I mean? Like, there's always a reason to. They always implement. There's a reason for the implementation of that exercise or of that rep.
You have to be writing dumb shit.
Yeah, I'm not just gonna pull shit out of my ass week by week and kind of like everything has its purpose and they should be.
You have lat pull downs every fucking week, but I'm good at lat pull downs. I don't care.
Yeah,
don't matter. Don't matter. Who gives a shit? Do it. Damn it.
And yeah, no, and I think that the coaches when they're writing the program, it should be at least. Well, I usually write 3 months out. Like usually, I plan out 3 months usually. For me.
And I think I think very short term programs is very. It's nice and convenient, but in the long run, a very long-term programming type scheme is very more beneficial because to tell you what you'll look like in a year versus 2 months from now is much easier.
Right.
Because in a year, I can set you on a direction. 2 months, I kind of put you on a path. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm putting you on the road, but in a year, I can, like, get you down the road.
Right.
That's the difference.
Right.
So...
But no one wants to take the easy route, though.
No way.
We're just going to sandbag our way.
Sandbag your way through that shit. Fuck it. Who cares? Beginner gain it all the way. I plateaued. Fuck it.
Yeah, plateau year 2.
Yeah, exactly. So it all depends on the person. So,
of course.
We were at CNS fatigue, right?
CNS fatigue, yep. And then we talked about muscle fatigue.
Fatigue.
CNS fatigue.
A lot of both of them could be determined as like a myth. You can be like overtraining ain't real in a sense. And then
wait, hold on. So I always hear the term overreaching, and I always hear the term overtraining, right? So for can you explain the difference between the two?
So my definition or my thoughts and knowledge to what overtraining and overreaching would be is for overreaching. Let's do that one first. We all seen Russ Swoll. We'll use him as an example because he does it a lot, okay? And I know Joey's sitting there like, cool, bro. Please stop squatting 696. It's not helping you. I know it's happening. But, I mean, he's top 1%. He's an athlete. He can get away with that type of shit, okay? Yeah. But overreaching is the exact idea of you picked a number in your head already, like say, I'm gonna bench 385 today for a good ass single, and I know at 345 it's not my day, and I just don't give a shit, and then I do 385, and of course it looks like trash, just like Russ does 696, and of course, good job, Russ, you did it, you damn well did it, dude.
Yeah,
that's overreaching. Now. Overreaching could be all right, and that is it for episode 1, part 2. We left off about overreaching and overtraining. We'll get to that in part 3. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Drop a comment, like, share, whatever all that good stuff is. Hope everyone has a good day. Until the next one, peace.